Hey, welcome to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. It's been a while. Wow, my green screen is showing. Could have did that a little bit neater. My OCD will drive me crazy if I see that. That's what happens when you have spiritual blocks. Spiritual blocks are energetic blocks created from experiences that we go through that were traumatic. Now, traumatic experiences distort our perception about ourselves and the world around us. So relationships tend to be difficult. Jobs could even be difficult, maintaining jobs. We may have sabotaging behaviorisms that block us from health, wealth, and all around emotional fulfillment. That's what happens from trauma. And I lived through trauma myself. So that little like green piece that was showing there, that would have irritated me to no end. Again, healing. Healing means reconditioning the mind so that you can recondition your behaviorisms and habits so you can create new experiences that transcend limited aspects of your ego. Really, how your ego, we all have an ego part of self, which is the dust part of self. And the dust part of self is the part of self that we hold our wounds in. It's a part of the part of ourselves that we perceive, which is based on outside experiences and material. So the basis of my readings, yes, I'd like to look and see how your soulmate or your twin flame is going to act. But I'd also like to look at the spiritual blocks. Why? Because a lot of times when we are drawing a soulmate twin flame to us, that person feels like home. A past life soulmate feels like home. However, the experiences that play out, if that's your home, then it's a home that you don't want to be in, because a lot of times both parties are reliving traumatic experiences and traumatic themes. So I like to look at those themes because it helps us not take things personally, especially when you're like, I know that this person loves me and cares about me, but they don't treat me well. Now, this does not mean that you should manipulate to try and stay with a person. It's in order to help you see your experience differently so that you don't perceive yourself as that there's something wrong with you because you dated someone that has a lot of spiritual wounds. And understand, you wouldn't have attracted that person or been in a relationship with that person if you didn't need to learn from them. That's number one spiritual rule. And the other spiritual rule is you may have residence of that energy. That might mean, again, you grew up in an environment that played out with the same karmic theme, and now you're living in a situation that reminds you of that. So it's bringing up all the same emotions, all the same feelings that you haven't integrated yet. So I always use my deck to look at the shadow aspects of self. The shadow aspects of self are the parts of yourself that you detached from. And because you detached, you don't know who they are. You've labeled them, and then you live from that level of consciousness, and you'll also become a magnet for the same type of energies that you've detached from. So unless we integrate the spiritual block, we can transcend the limitations of the physical world. And that means your physical world, your physical reality based on the experiences that you lived. And that a lot of times is based on the people that you are, around and draw into your life. Okay. So I want to look at the spiritual blocks with my deck. Then I want to look at the spiritual triggers. And I want to look at the wounds, how they play out. And then we're going to look into, what actually is happening, because who cares? Otherwise, if I'm going to look and see what is happening, it can trigger me even more, especially if you're dealing with a soulmate twin flame that literally is always always doing the opposite of what they're always getting in their own way. They're always sabotaging the relationship. Maybe you feel that they again really care about you, but they don't know how to express it. They don't know how to show it. So you keep reliving the pain. So it's again allows us to not take responsibility. And then we can look and see what the person is going to do, maybe what you can do. And that doesn't mean manipulate the person. What you can do yourself that will, which means that you're changing yourself, you're changing a behaviorism, which indirectly changes them. Because if you are connected to a soulmate, twin flame, and or past life karmic partner, even a trauma bond relationship, it means that there's a lot of spiritual lessons. And those spiritual lessons come in the form of people and situations that play out within our life. So there's many different realities that can play out depending on what you choose to do. So we all can shape shift our reality. We all have the power to shape shift our reality. And that's an amazing thing because you can get yourself out of so much fuckery. I mean, there can be so much drama playing out in your environment, but the kingdom of heaven's inside of you, the kingdom of love, unconditional love, the kingdom to your healing, the kingdom to your success is inside of you. So we have to change our mind. So let's jump in. Now, if you're new to the channel, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and write the word forgiveness in your comment bar if you want to win a free psychic reading with me. These 3 things automatically get you into entering, and that's entering into winning a free psychic reading with me. You'll know if you won a free reading with me if I wrote the word winner underneath your comment. All right. Now, obviously, I'm new to my own channel. Like, even though you see videos, I haven't done a lot of live streams. Life has been a little bit wonky. There's a lot going on in my world. So right now, I may not be as consistent with my live streams because of what's going on in my life. But I will, I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to, I guess maybe that's part of my healing too. It's again, when I go through traumatic experiences, I lived in trauma. My mom tried to kill me several times. My father had cancer over 8 times. Sick goes to sick. You're a magnet of who and what comes into your life. And I mainly lived from my behaviorisms from a really long time. So I always got in my own way. It's just, but I live a happy life now, but I am still a highly sensitive person. So I, create a lot of boundaries. I create a lot of structure. Some might say that it's controlling. It makes me feel safe. But anyway, self-obsession. Self-obsession is like, obviously we take it that as like, oh, you're conceited. But really, a lot of times, if we're self-obsessed, when we go even deeper into the meaning, it means that we feel inadequate, right? I mean, people that feel confident about themselves. Hey, Suzanne. I was saying people that feel confident about themselves, they're not obsessed with themselves, right? And it's again, we tend to being in the here and now and in the present moment doesn't mean that we're focused so much on our appearance and our looks and what we have or the car that we drive. We're actually in life. So a lot of times when we are self-obsessed, we have a root chakra in balance. And that root chakra is we don't feel connected. We don't feel connected to ourselves. We don't feel connected to others. So we feel that we need to have masks. And this already, it was just flipped over. So I'm going to take it. And it's mainly because someone grew up with someone that was cruel to them. And so they keep attracting people into their life that are not really nice to them. So I'm feeling, again, this is going to be a general message, by the way, for anyone that lands on this video. Whenever I don't say that in the beginning, just know that it's a general message. And also know this: energy is fluid, flip it, switch it, twist it. But guess what? I think, again, whoever lands on this message is for you, because again, we all have spiritual wounds, right? It doesn't, that's why I said I always look at the spiritual energy first, because that's going to determine why a person does what they do. If a person's an asshole to me, I will might take it, especially me, because I'm sensitive, highly sensitive. I am going to take it personally, and that's going to hurt me. And so understanding what a person's spiritual issue is helps us like detach from it, not own it. When you date a person or around a person that's mean to you, that's cruel to you, there's a sense of what am I doing wrong? What am I doing? And so, and then there's a fear when we're not even in a relationship. Am I going to wind up with someone that's mean to me? And, or maybe I'm mean when I'm in a relationship. I perceive people as mean to me, but if someone crosses my boundary, which could also be self-obsession, right? That I'm so concerned about me that I'm not paying attention to you. So again, I'm feeling that someone's attached to someone that again is worried and more in their mind about their life. And so because of it, they're cruel. So we say, what does that have to do with anything? Well, if you're attracting this to you, and this person is supposed to feel like home and normally feels like home, and you have a deep connection with them, and that's supposed to represent love, but then they're acting mean to you, then, and part of, even if we're not standing there we're taking it on when we don't understand it from a different perception. I'm able to say, well, this is your inadequacy. You're in the feeling that you feel inadequate, that you don't feel good about yourself. You're not looking about, oh, sorry, internet. You might be able to, if it winds up freezing, by the way, you'll most likely be able to watch it in the video after, because it might be on your end. And I only say that because sometimes I watch other YouTubers and I watch them when they're live and people are like, you're frozen. And I'm watching and I'm like, you're not frozen to me. And then other people say, you're not frozen to me. So you might be able to, if there's a part that becomes glitchy to you and you notice I keep going, that's the only reason why, is because it may just be like a thing, a matrixy thing. Like, again, everything's perception, So anyway, so that you're attached to someone that isn't like nice to you, or that is the theme, always attracting people to you that aren't nice. And when we attract people to us that aren't nice, we tend to not care about the other person's feelings. So this is what I'm feeling right now. And so that's harsh for both parties, because what the underlying spiritual root of it is, both parties don't feel like they are truly lovable, like goes to like. And that's because, again, they grew up with someone that was cruel. So that's a spiritual energy. I'm going to pull more and more. Invincibility. But when we turn this energy around, we're actually able to become invincible, because healing, right? A self-obsession means that, again, we're a little controlling, maybe OCD, like what I did before when I started, like wanting to redirect that energy. And when you redirect that energy, you wind up becoming invincible. This is why alcoholics and drug addicts, when they turn their life around and they stop doing that, they become like CEOs. They can change the world, because they take that energy, that emotional energy, because that's really what it is, as we're energy beings. Because really your energy is your thoughts and your emotions. And so when we again hold that energy in the body, it winds up being we can feel it. It feels like stress. And then we propel it. So what is it? You're looking at a property to start your new chapter. I'm still needing to break from my ex-husband. Yeah, yeah, I remember like you always had a thing with your ex-husband. So just after my reading, if you would want to book a reading, we could do that. But let me just finish this reading, because this is a collective reading. So maybe it resonates somewhat with you, Suzanne. Like again, and that's a thing too. I'm gonna bring this in that last time I talked to you too, you were like, this person has so much power over you. Why is it always when I sell my house or when I do this or when I do that? Because that time never happens, especially when you're a highly sensitive person and you had feelings for someone. I know for me, I would be so manipulated. You know what I mean? Because it's like I'd be like, I love that person. So maybe you grew up with someone that wasn't so nice to you, and this actually feels familiar to you. Like you identify this with love because you're as when you said ex-husband, that should have been the starting of your new life. It's like, and then you're like, oh, you know, but then your heart still is there. So there's always this illusion that when you sell your house or when you get something or when you do something, that you'll be able to get that perfect relationship. And my fear, Suzanne, is that day is never like you're gonna rob your joy today. And it doesn't start because it's never gonna feel that good to like leave a person that you care about. That's never gonna happen. It can't. It's like because that there is good in that relationship too. It wasn't all bad. Yes, the person doesn't yeah, but you know what I mean, like but that's the thing, what I'm saying, that you're ready to let him go. I think it's not about like last time I remember talking to you, you were like, when it was always later, 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 later. And what I'm saying is, well, sometimes we have to fake it till we make it. You want to become the energy of what you want to attract into your life. Otherwise, there's still a piece of you that's holding on to him. And that's, you have to create yourself. I mean, once you move, it is about running into like a new life by joining things and creating yourself, because we're really going to heal that energy of cruel and narcissistic energy is cruel. It's like because there's a lot of gaslighting, there's a lot of I don't want you to rise because I don't feel good about myself. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. I do love you. It's that I'm afraid of abandonment, and because I'm afraid of abandonment, I can't see you evolve. And that is my fear with you, Suzanne. You know, it's like because there is a sense of needing to heal whatever is that root issue, like with that a little bit, you know, you know. Oh, listen, I think it's about like just going out and exploring, not saying anything, because it's like you're gonna feel so many different emotions when you're dealing with that. Like anybody would, Suzanne, anybody would. We'd be like, oh, I love this person. Oh, you're hurt, but I hate you. And you did this, and really, I shouldn't like you. So then you get mad at yourself, and then you're like, oh, am I crazy? And then it's like, because that's why they say love makes you crazy. Do you have unconditional love with this person? And that's okay. That means you're a good person. That means that that person is good too on some level. However, trauma makes us create behaviorisms, and those behaviorisms, and you outgrew that. So it's not about saying anything. I think it's just about doing it. And like, because this person is going to try and stop you. This person is going to do everything that you're like, is this person gonna? It's like, of course they're going to do it. You know that. It's like that's the whole problem. They have to do it. And it's you don't also want to hurt this person. And that's why it's like otherwise you would have left already. You like emotionally you would have left already. So that's why I'm saying. So kind of like the same theme here, like again, but Suzanne's ahead of the storyline here. Like again, if she's here, so again, this might be her reading, or she's going to resonate with it. So far she does. See, energy goes to energy. So let's look at the spiritual triggers. Okay, manipulation. Oh, Suzanne, you got to watch out. Manipulation. I couldn't tell you what was real and what wasn't until I realized I was being manipulated by you. And this is what you're saying. You're like, I won't let him manipulate me. I'm going to leave. But there's a fear. There is a fear because you're like, I don't know what I'm leaving into. Like, that's what the fear is. And you're fighting that sense of love. That's the only part of love that you have. So that's why it's about creating yourself now, even though you're like, I'm in this wobbly place. I know I have to do it. I know I want to do it. This is you, and that's good. Because you're like, I know I need to. I know I want to. I know I have to, but I'm still afraid. And that happens because we're human. We're human. Even when we're around people that we know that aren't good for us, they can make us feel bad. Especially if you're an empath. Oh my God, then you're so easily manipulated. Forget about it. And this is children. I was triggered by how you blame me, almost like a child. That's how I took that. If you don't have children, if you do have children, then I believe that they manipulated you through your children also. They would gaslight. And again, and that's for control and that's manipulation. And so you have to say, what is the doorway that allows this person to be able to manipulate you? For some, it may be children. Again, this is a general message, not just for Suzanne. So it's understand manipulation, children, or treating you like a child, like you don't know. And maybe that is a part of you inside that needs to heal because you're like, oh, well, that person can actually make me feel that I don't know. See, so there you go. You have a daughter with him. So very easily manipulated. Okay. We're triggered by how the kids behave and how they blame you. Like, but where it's like I believe that when you're with somebody like your ex, a lot of times they're in balance and they want to manipulate. I mean, that's the thing. They still want to manipulate, and they would manipulate through children. Unfortunately, a lot of divorced people do this, and they don't realize how it really messes with the mind because no child wants to choose between their mother and father. They don't want to be put in that position. Even if the parent is not a good one, not the best one, they don't want to do that. Okay, memory. I felt I have already lived through this before and it triggers my reaction to the memories. So it's again, that's what happens with you. I feel like you're like, I already know because every time, and this is what happens too when we're with a person that wasn't nice to us. And then they manipulate us to make us feel bad because of kids and really because of other things. Understand we're growing. You have to say, why am I still attached to this person? And understand that's the trauma bond. But that trauma bond was created because you did not create an identity on some level. So a lot of times we have to create another form of passion. That person represents passion. A lot of times if this person wasn't a good friend to you, and what I mean as friend is that a lot of times these relationships are very passionate. They go super fast. The focus is on, physical and not emotional. There's not enough communication. And because again, there needs to be healing. So, right. So your daughter Right. So it's again, everything is, if I can't hurt you, I'm gonna hurt our daughter in order, or our son in order to hurt you. And that's what happens too. It's not only manipulation and manipulation through gaslighting you, but gaslighting your environment. And then saying, see, you're a bad person, see, you're a bad mother, see, you're a bad, and so there's this sense of, I love a person that makes me not feel good about myself, because that's really what needs to be focused on with your healing, Suzanne, because you're like, I don't want to be manipulated by this person. And this is for anyone, again, that's landed on this. You may not want to be manipulated by your person, but you're saying there's nothing else. So, especially if there's children involved, there's a sense of, like, I want to do what's best for my child. But understand too, if you're dealing with someone in balance, they're going to use your children against you. So that's the wound. We're looking at the wound, and now we want to look and see. For those of you that want to see what your person is going to do, I'm going to pull cards, and then I'm going to pull for those of you that don't want to be. Because obviously you should want to be with a person like this. And that's your love. Like, that's how you know that you don't love yourself enough. Because if someone's not giving you anything, they're not contributing to your life. You have to contribute to your life. Now, sometimes they, again, need healing. And a lot of times a person can, love makes us do things that we wouldn't normally do. So you can be with a person that will change, but understand it means karmically that you best better like be living on your soul's path, letting God lead you. See, really, a lot of times, and this is not a gender thing, they always say that it's a woman's job to bring a man to God. Well, I believe it's just anybody that it's like whoever, whether you're a girl, guy, you're a girl, guy, whatever you are, whatever relationship you are, that your person is, when it's a soul type of relationship, one of a higher energy, one that was divine, then, and understand all relationships on some level are divine, but when it's for divine, for soul evolution, it means that both parties want to step into their true self, their best self. And when we're dealing with soulmate twin flame, it doesn't mean that that person is the other half of you. What it means is they have the gifts that you don't. They may be all your weaknesses, all your blocks, and you hold, again, the opposite gift. So the two, when you come together, there is healing. But both parties live the same type of spiritual issues. So because they have the same traumas. So both parties don't feel good about themselves in this story. Susan and her ex, where they first started in relationship, long time ago, I wasn't feeling that great about myself. Why? I wasn't as evolved. I didn't live enough life. So I settled because I didn't grow enough of myself. So that relationship, again, was based on attraction, was based on chemistry, and it was a spiritual connection because the person felt like home. But spiritual also means that there's a karmic lesson that needs to be learned. So self-love would be for Susan, and again, for the people that put up with people that are cruel to them. Self-love. And we do that by how? Finding ourselves. Again, be like childlike, by experiencing life, because it means that we don't really even know what we like. We may think that we like something, but we liked it 10, 15 years ago. We're not that same person anymore. That's, again, a second chakra imbalance. You need to be able to go with the flow of life better, be able to embody your passion. It's, again, to become a magnet for that passion. A lot of people aren't. So let's see again what this person is going to do, like, or what they're thinking. What they're thinking. Okay. Mental health. like, so that might be for, again, you down deep inside, you may say, well, I'm concerned. Like, if I'm with this person and I'm not the same person who I used to be and I want to change, they're going to trigger me. And they're going to trigger me because they're going to not want me to change. Again, they're not going to want, they're going to be triggered with the sense of that I'm abandoning them. And so that's going to affect my mental health. And understand it's on part that they are spiritually imbalanced because they're not going out and finding themselves. Why are they trying to hold on to something that's not working too? It's that instead of going out and finding themselves, and when we live spiritually imbalanced, it does affect our mental health. We know this because emotionally we don't feel good most of the time, unless we're on heavy meds. Then I think we don't really care. But if like we're mentally like out of it, we're not really happy. I wish you were here with me. So again, so I believe that your person does care, does love down deep inside. They want their cake and eat it too. And the reason why is because emotionally they haven't dealt with certain situations. So they take a lot of stuff out on the person that they're with. And again, because they're still holding on to this part of themselves that's their identity, and that's not their identity. In order for you even to heal, Suzanne, you would need to create a new life just to be able to see yourself differently, to know really who you are, to know what you like. In order to embody it, to become it, we have to know, because how you create your life, you let spirit work through you, and you do that, the co-creation process, and we co-create with our passions and the people that we interact with. If you're not in your life, and where again in this story, the person spiritually, we were looking at the spiritual energies first again to see why it's still going on. More spiritual energies, like this person doesn't have a life, is what spirit's saying, because they're caught up in their experiences, their bad experiences, holding on to like who they used to be, what it used to be like, and they're not really looking at what is. So you may say, well, this person doesn't even care about me, they don't even like me. Well, guess what? You're better than nothing. So it's again, the mind is not going to let go of anybody. Like again, if we identify with somebody with love and there's no one there to take its place, your brain is not going to let you get over that situation. Not 100%. The only way is to be interactive in life, because then you meet different people, your choice of focus changes, you begin to feel differently because you're feeding yourself and the energy. So you begin to feel better, you attract more. And then you get to a place where you're like, what the hell did this person do for me? Why was I holding on? That's why you're like, what is it, like beer goggles? I dated that person. I look back 10 years and I said, what the hell was I thinking? I'm not that person. Like, look at them. No, but it's because love is blind, and it's where you were. And what has transpired in your life. We get people with whom are going to teach us spiritually. Again, before there's a physical experience that actually even plays out, there's a spiritual written Akashic record of your entire life, of every soul program, of every spiritual experience you have ever lived, which means every soulmate and every karmic lesson. And so we have to say in this story, again, trauma had occurred, and this looks like, again, soulmate past life, which can fall underneath a trauma bond relationship, which can play out through people's entire lifetimes. I was thinking of that with my grandparents. It was like, wow, shit. I said, they were like 75, 80 years old, and they were like still living like create like drama. They were still like living drama. And I was like, at 80 years old, that's like really, like, you know what I mean? You think by 80 years old, you have it together, but really that person, though, their consciousness didn't evolve. because they stayed in it. They stayed in that situation. No, I want you to change. No, I want you to change. Though we love each other. So what you have is a lot of alcoholism. You have a lot of on and off and on and off in a relationship, which again is what creates abandonment. Because abandonment isn't just I left, it's emotionally you're not here. You don't care enough to figure it out. I don't know what I want. So it's again, and I feel like that's you, Suzanne, because you're like, I don't know what I want because there's nothing else here right now. And so it's like, and I know I want a new life, but it's like why I still feel like this person can manipulate me. And there's a like, and that could be subconscious. Like I said, a lot of times love, there's a fine line between love and hate, especially in these type of relationships. You are always on my mind. So look at this. I don't know what I want. You're always on my mind. So the person sounds like they are what? Mentally off. Because they are. Because they have a lot of trauma around relationships, a lot of trauma about who they perceive that they are. They've lived a lot of experiences that have made them question themselves, life, relationships, and they're living from that level of consciousness. So what I see them doing, like you see their state of mind. So I, again, without cards, see them coming in, coming out, being unstable, still being the same way, but again, maybe expressing more. Again, saying, well, maybe if I show you, but the inconsistency is still there. And that's the problem. All the things, it's like if you would just rise. You know, I'm not going to lie. All right. So let's see what they're going to do. Let's also look again for those of you that want to know. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I'm going to just pull one more soulmate. Just because I know that some of you guys are like, no, I really like him. Like, and I have to honor that, even though this is a soul healing channel. I keep getting signs that remind me of you. I can't ignore them anymore. I need to reach out to you. So if you guys are in separation right now, which again, what I said, these trauma bond relationships are on, off, on, off, on, off. I'm feeling like they know that they have to reach out to you, and they will. It's that there's a sense that when two people don't love themselves enough, right? What winds up happening is they learn that they can't control love. They wind up in these very difficult relationships where two people are triggering each other, and they're taught, again, they grew up in an environment where they were taught that love is difficult, that love hurts. And so they keep creating this friction. So again, we draw our opposites to us. We draw people that are going to trigger us in order for us to look at our wounds so that we can integrate them. Well, your person, again, got triggered. They react like they always do. They act cruel. They act like they don't care, probably because emotionally you didn't get what you needed. So this is always the karmic theme that's playing out. Both parties feel abandoned. You feel emotionally abandoned. That person feels physically abandoned because you're like, peace out. I'm not dealing with it. So in separation. And so now your person is going to reach out. For those of you that want to know, because I know that that's important. Now, for you, those of you that are like, they can know where that sidewalk is. I am never taking that motherfucker back. I don't care if I set him on fire. I don't care. I want to know what I'm going to do. What's going to happen in my life? And I know that feeling too. We all know that feeling. It's like, so let's take a look and see. Okay, 10 of Wands, overload. So in the beginning, you guys are going to feel overloaded, and probably because if you're leaving a situation completely behind, remember, if you were connected to someone that was toxic, a lot of your energy went towards that. It didn't really go towards yourself. So now trying to find yourself, it could feel like there's an overload. There could feel like, oh, now I got to figure out how I'm going to pay bills. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to work and have time for friends and have time. And I don't even know where to begin. And again, so we can see how we would feel overloaded. But don't despair. Get into a daily practice first. Again, you take yourself with you, and it all starts with you. So, if we have overload, what does that mean? Well, it means that we better deal with our anxiety, because we don't want to say, well, I did move out, but it got hard. And then I went back to that person that I didn't really want to go back to, Suzanne, and that's so you would say, how can I do that? And that's through daily practice of meditation, yoga, like reconditioning your nervous system, again, to be in the moment, to be in the now. Only in the now do you get divine guidance through gut intuition, inner knowing. The kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. We don't want to think, I'm overloaded, I'm stressed, I don't know where to go, where. No, that's not the right answer. No, that's not the right answer. Again, find yourself. The answers are inside. Again, start with a daily practice, connecting to your higher self. Again, connected, and understand, once this person sees that you're going to change, they are going to give you a little bit of a hard time. Why? Because you're changing. You're changing, and understand, people don't like when we do what's best for us. Understand that, especially if they were used to manipulating you. And that's so they're going to see it as change. They're going to see it as like you're complete. That's what Five of Wands means. It means that there's a conflict. I mean, usually it's a conflict of interest. And the interest is you're changing, you're going on with your life, and you're enjoying your life. And guess what? That's an overload for that person too, that you're changing, because emotionally they were used to having you there. So the whole dynamic of change. So healing doesn't feel good. Know that. So how are we going to counteract that? And we counteract that through embodying a new life. And that's through our passion. Again, mind can't be in two places at one time. You have no control over what that person is going to do. And it doesn't, if this person understand it too, if your person could be like, well, I want to be with this person, and but I don't like them like this. Well, you'd still need to embody your passions and keep yourself, and because they would be manipulated into stepping into their higher self, because love makes us do what we don't want to do. It's again, and that's what Spirit says. Spirit says that's a karmic thing. A lot of times we attract someone to us that we're really head over heels for, and we want to please them and be happy for them, and we feel like we're really taking care of ourselves, and like not giving this person everything that they want, that they're going to leave us, when truthfully, if you do everything that they do want and you don't do what you need to do for you, they'll leave you. And that's so, but understand, the issue is it brings a conflict when you do the right thing, because fear does that, and the person's coming from a different level of consciousness, not an accurate one. Again, this started with that they were cruel because they had trauma, so they grew up in an environment that was imbalanced, so that's what they're used to, and they recreate that within their relationships. It doesn't work. That's what we know. We're looking to break family karma, generational karma, ancestral karma. This is the way it's done. All right. Again, Seven of Swords. Don't trust this person. Again, dishonesty, because they're again, I like you, care about you, but again, people that are codependent, people that manipulate, people that aren't embodying their life, they're not going to be coming from their truth. They're coming from their ego, and that, which is what they want, their desire, their emotional state, and they're imbalanced. So it means that they're coming from they're only thinking about themselves, not considering you, so they may emotionally try to manipulate you. Wow, I look crazy. I should have put some makeup on. I'm looking at myself. Okay, ego struggle. And like ego struggle, like, so you may call them out on it, and what you're seeing is that they don't really want to change. So, I feel like, or you don't want to change. So it's kind of like playing out where don't date anyone. This is really what I'm picking up on, because I'm asking about your life. And your life is, at first you're going to go out and it's going to feel like an overload, like, because it's a change and it's going to create conflict with this person. This person's going to try and manipulate you to come back, and there's going to be a little bit of tension, because there's an ego struggle. Like, I perceived you as this. I thought it was going to go down like this. I thought I could have this, and so that makes the person look at themselves, and instead of them changing and saying, well, I'm sorry, maybe if I'm nice to you, or again, we can work together. Even in your situation, Susan, maybe we could work together so that we could see our daughter, even though like that wouldn't happen. But I'm just saying, like, you could find a common ground where he could actually stay in your life fairly. But the truth of the matter is, he doesn't want to play it fair, because again, ego struggle. And so he would rather be dishonest to try and get what he wants. So unfortunately, as soon as you leave, this is a spiritual test. It's like, oh, is this how it's going to be? Then I don't really even want to be with the person. No, is we always get the test before. Now, if this isn't your ex coming back, then, and it's a person, well, trust me, don't trust that person, because it's, again, you're not coming from a place of balance. You're again finding yourself. Which means right now you don't have an identity, because you're finding yourself. Your old identity was you were attached to this person. That was your life. You have to find your identity. So a lot of times that's why we'll attract someone that, again, also doesn't have an identity. They'll pretend that they have an identity, but they're being dishonest. They're living from the mask. And so what that also says is that there would be conflict, because now you're dating someone, the person isn't good, and that would again trigger your ex and create an ego struggle, which means find yourself. Find yourself. So this is what I'm feeling, because you want to become the best magnet of a high vibration, and that's through, again, creating your daily practice through body mind work, dealing with anxiety, doing meditation, tapping into your higher self, journaling, and then going on the computer or looking through magazines and seeing, what would you like to try? Feeding your passions. And for everyone, that's going to be different. It's like, but feeding yourself, creating yourself. And if it's to make more money, it's doing something that's going to help you generate more money, hopefully something that you're passionate about, because money has no energy except for the energy you're giving. And your mind can't be in two places at one time, and you're still going to have to deal with this shit, because even though you're like, I can deal with it even though I feel overloaded, understand your choice of focus is your greatest tool to keep your energy up, and so that you don't say the wrong thing, so that you won't feel bad and then overcompensate to take this person back, or give this person time where you don't really want to give them time. Okay, Seven of Pentacles. Like, so it's again, and the key is, don't be disappointed. Don't rob your own joy by having expectations of what you believe that life is supposed to be. You have to create your own joy. Yes, I'm doing my healing and taking care of myself. I am done with my ex. I'm having a Cushing syndrome. I don't know what that is. Cushing syndrome. Like, getting comfortable with yourself. Like, I think that that the whole key is, again, so star is, again, pretty much like wish fulfillment. So you can, sky's the limit. Really, that sky's the limit. But this reading right here for, again, anyone that lands on it, and including you, Susan, it's this, I really truly feel like that, listen, you want to leave, you're changing the dynamic of the structure of that. It's where you're not going to be invested at all in this person's life anymore, and they were used to it. So there's going to be, and you were also used to doing it. It kind of made you feel purposeful for a little while, especially when you love that person. So in the beginning, change does feel overloaded. You know, like, yeah, you want to definitely, you want to lower your stress, not because you're normally a stressful person, but because it's a new life. It's a new life, which means you got to go out and meet people. And, everyone has stress issues by a certain point in their life. That's stressful. And then if you're a highly sensitive person, which you are, your emotions get in the way. And then you're like, I know what I'm feeling. Do I like this person? Do I not like this person? Oh my God. It's like where spirit says, you always start in the day. Hi, welcome. Welcome to the page. So you want to start by creating a daily practice for yourself, a daily practice. Like, it helps set intention. Then looking on the computer saying, what would I want to join? What would I want to try? Why? Because it's not about controlling other people. You said, I don't want my ex to manipulate me. Well, guess what? Your ex can't manipulate you if your choice of focus is on something that you love. That's not like a wish fulfillment, but you don't even know what that wish fulfillment is. So I'm telling you to go out and find it. And then you have to question yourself and say, well, why haven't I found it yet? And that's because, again, part of that was how you grew up. Again, someone that was cruel, and then being in a relationship that was imbalance and giving more and reliving that childhood trauma, really, and then learning and then finally choosing you. Well, then now you have to go out and find it. And if you're thinking that you're not going to have a little bit of stress about that, you're wrong, because it triggers us. Again, self-esteem. Who am I? I don't really know. I'm finding who I am. What do I like? I'm finding that. And so being interactive and showing up for yourself in a new way, because you're creating a new life. And that means that you have to be different so that you don't attract the same as what you attracted. And otherwise, here was the spiritual test that I pulled, that, hey, you're going to move out, and because you're an attractive woman, and this was, again, whoever landed on this, whoever is, again, in a relationship and leaves, doesn't necessarily mean a woman, could be a guy. Hey, you're a good looking guy. So when you leave, guess what? You're going to attract somebody else, but be careful, because they're not going to be honest. And it's because you haven't done your healing yet. When we haven't done our healing, we're the same energy vibration. It says what you resist persists, meaning unless you integrate the spiritual lesson, you tend to get the same situation, and not only get the same situation, but hold the same energy of being like, well, am I going to get wind up with the same dishonest person that comes to me? Maybe they look different, but they're the same type of person. And dishonest doesn't necessarily mean like dating multiple people. It could be someone that comes in and steals all your money and just uses you, or uses you for what you have. And so this dishonest and worry about it, that alone can create overload, especially if you're venturing out onto your own. So the stress part is because of management is a must for you, because we're creating a root chakra, a stable root chakra. And that's where God says you get a better connection to your physical body, the physical world. You get a better connection to me, source, to your higher self. And that's because strength comes through making yourself strong. You take yourself with you. The illusion is that we create strength outside of ourselves, where if you do that, then eventually someone is going to treat you cruel. And that's how this reading started, was that, the person was cruel. They were manipulative. It played out the same way. It brought up all the same emotions that was what you grew up in. And that was because it was a karmic theme, and that's a karmic cycle through a soulmate, past life, karmic relationship, which We get people that come to us to teach us. Bring us what we need through a new awarenesses of what we need to do to heal ourselves. So to say, well, we're gonna do different, but the way to create the balance where we're giving something, where I'm gonna say you, I can't pronounce your name, Sahil. I'm gonna say Sahil, where it's not an all or nothing thing. That it's either I'm gonna give everything or I'm not giving anything at all. Where we find our balance, and we find our balance through, again, being embodied in our own passion of life, and creating ourselves, making sure that our cup is so full that you give only what's overflown, and so that you become the example, for every single person, your friends, everything. Yeah, high cortisol, like, yeah, that's from living in survival mode. That's that root chakra, again, like being triggered. And that's why I said you need to create that daily practice. You need to embody a new life. Your choice of focus is your greatest tool for stress. You can't control what this person's going to do. You're changing the dynamic of what this person felt comfortable with. They relate that to their survival. If you think that you're not going to get any feedback from that, you're crazy, lady, because it's like I said, they're going to be like, they'd be afraid. So it's not an all or nothing thing. It's about creating yourself first, because my fear, Suzanne, is like you would get settled and then want to run out and then meet somebody, and you don't want to do that. You want to first get strong within yourself, find yourself again, create a strong vessel for yourself, and that's through getting a better body mind connection. Because only in the now do you get divine guidance, and dealing with stress is important because we can't control our environment. That's why people do yoga. You take being in an uncomfortable position, like being in a pretzel, and learning to breathe through that pain, and taking that practice off of the mat into life, where that's why they do it. Successful people have a practice before their day. They have a day. So I'm telling you, yes, you need to do that, because in reconditioning your body and mind, you will not have high cortisol levels, because that only happens from living in fight, flight, or freeze. And that happens through not being stable within yourself. And that is why you attracted who you attracted to begin with. And why I'm saying you better not go out and try and meet someone, because you're an attractive person. So it's not about meeting someone. You have no problem with that. It's that they would be dishonest. And again, really, so it's all about creating you, because if you do, well, you'll get exactly what you want. Now, the whole thing is, I don't believe that. And Spirit says your healing comes in the walk. That you see me walk through you, work through you. You'll see me bring you people, situations, experiences that'll change your mind and your heart. That's the only way you'll heal 100%. But in the meantime, train your body and mind to work together. Do what you need to strengthen you, and you'll be okay. It's like, and then you can detach organically from this person, because again, they're going to get mad, they're going to throw a temper tantrum, but inevitably, I feel like there is unconditional love under all those layers of fear and everything else. And you would need to be able to walk away and live your life a little bit in order to be like, okay, well, I can get to that acceptance, please, and forgiveness, please, where we had a long road, but we have a beautiful daughter together. And yeah, like this person was my person for a long time. I'll always have a special place in my heart for him. We just don't get along. It's like, and I respect that. It's like where you're at peace and you're not bringing any of the residue from this relationship into your next relationship. Instead, you're filling your cup up, you're becoming yourself, you're embodying the vibration of unconditional love. So you're only going to be able to attract that same energy. And then people are meeting you from that level, and they're like, oh, I better be bringing something to Suzanne, but she's a hot tamale. Like she's interactive, she's got a lot of opportunities, she takes care of herself, she's not going to put up with anything. And it's like you're saying, I respect me, I love me. It's like I'm not that same person. I had to go through all this, but guess what? I learned what unconditional love really is, because we have unconditional love. That is, and sometimes an unconditional love is not just always perfect, and or mommy and daddy. Sometimes it's really raw, ugly, hard, traumatized love that is just a dumpster fire. And that's, and so, and when you have high cortisol, that's a sign that you were living in a dumpster fire. And so you need to do what, like, heal yourself so that that never winds up happening again. I gotta wind it down. I hope that was helpful. Thank you everyone for joining this live stream. And I'm so glad that you are. You're deserving of it. You're deserving of it. Just keep reminding yourself of that, and know that it's a walk, and you create new, more and more new experiences. That old life fades out. You create new neurological pathways, so you'll be able to embody and envision a new life. And that's what it's all about. I thank you, Suzanne, again for joining me, and thank you everyone else that joined. And again, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and definitely write the word forgiveness in your comment bar. And thank you so much, Suzanne. I appreciate you. And anything that else of any relevance, by the way, that you want to know about this channel, or how to find me, how to book a personal reading, you can find everything down in the description box below. I want to thank everyone. I will talk to you all soon. Bye bye. Bye, Suzanne. Bye, Sahil.